So there's a lot of stuff of, Farnham just pumping money into players and all of that. How much do you get paid?
Welcome to the first episode of a brand new podcast, Game Day, an in-depth interview with a Farnham player on the way to a match in Jack the cameraman's car. In this first episode, we've got Joe Jackson speaking to us about playing in lots of different positions this season, what his relationship is like with the gaffer, and most interestingly, how much he gets paid to play for Farnham. Enjoy!
Don't know if you noticed the dents in the side.
No, I didn't actually.
Yeah, so that's
What was that from?
for the better. Well, one of them was before I bought it, because I bought this car for 300 quid.
Wow, that is good. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take it back.
It was a mate's rate though, wasn't
It was. My mate was going to give it to the scrapyard. And I was like, I'll have it. I was driving my mum's Fiat 500 at the time.
How many years have you had it now?
This is my third year.
Wow, 3 years, 300 quid. It's not bad, is it?
Yeah. And not so long ago, a lorry hit it.
While you were driving?
No, I was parked up and it was just pulling out of a house and it just knocked my car. There's a massive dent on the side of the door there, so.
It's so cheap, it's not really worth getting fixed.
No, I just said, mate, give me 100 quid.
And he did.
He did it, he gave me. Yeah,
Oh, that's wicked.
it's great. But yeah, I guess, I don't know if I should need to do an intro or something to this, or I don't know where this is
Get your
going.
glasses on, yeah, and you need to do like the Harry Hugo hands, like this.
Yeah, that might be a bit hard while driving. So welcome to whatever we call this. I was thinking of calling this To The Ground, because each week we'll just
Yeah, to the ground, I like that.
drive to the ground and interview different people.
I was a bit annoyed it wasn't cardboard karaoke. I was preparing some songs
Hey, we
last
can
night.
we can change that up anytime. We pushing the radio.
90 songs only.
Yeah, there you go, just in case. But yeah, we're joined today by Joseph Jackson. I've never called you Joseph, I think.
Nah, my mum only calls me Joseph if I'm in trouble.
Well, here we're joined by Joe. Who are you? I guess that's my
That's
first
a very good
question.
So from a football perspective, I joined Farnham this season. As many of you know, I've played in every conceivable position, probably except striker and in goal, but maybe that'll be rectified because I think I'm one of the first, if Pat ever got injured, to go in goal, so that might be rectified come the end of the season. Previously to playing at Farnham, I was at Oxbridge last season, and then before that I was at Bedfont on and off for about 10 years, interspersed with a bit of playing at uni, which was at Loughborough Uni in the Midlands. So Jono and Jimmy were actually the managers when I was at Bedfont, so after they left there, they contacted me at the back end of last season, and here I am. And then sort of outside of football, weirdly enough, I work in football as well. So I work at Brentford Football Club as an insight manager. What that basically involves is helping the club to make data-led decisions, whether that be from a commercial point of view, whether that be from a ticketing point of view, whether that be from just a more general revenue perspective. That is my job. And then, yeah, I think that's about it really. It's a way of an introduction.
That was a very good introduction, actually. So yeah, let's talk about, before we get on to this season stuff, let's talk about your previous ventures in non-league.
Yeah.
So what kind of started you off in non-league football?
Good question. So I was playing, actually, to take it back a little bit further. So me and my dad went to watch Bedfont Sports against Hanworth Villa, and we must have been probably one of 90 people there. It was at Hanworth Villa's ground. My dad said to me, he said, look, it might not be where you want to end up, but this is the standard you should be aiming for right now. So what we'll do is we'll go down to Bedfont under 18s, and if you play well there, you might have a chance at the first team. So weirdly enough, my dad actually became the under-18s manager, joint manager, and we had a really successful time there playing in the under-18s team. Did really well, was captain in them, and then the manager at the time of Bedfont was a man called Gavin Bamford, and I'm very thankful for him for giving me an opportunity, because he put me in an FA Cup game at 16. I think we lost the game 2-1, but it was a really good opportunity to try and impress at that level, to get my foot in the door, and yeah, I really had a good time there. He then got sacked / moved on, and then Jono's father-in-law became the manager of Bedfont Sports, Mick Snowden. I then had another 2 years playing under him. It was a really good time, and then after that I went to university, and depending on how the university system works, you don't actually get there till about September, and then you have big breaks at Christmas and Easter. So even though I was sort of playing for Loughborough Uni at the time, they have a Saturday team that plays in Step 5 in the Midlands. I was just sort of coming back over those periods and playing for Bedfont as well. So that's why it's sort of been 10 years on and off. Within that time, Jono became the manager. We got promoted from Step 5, and then after finishing at uni, Jono made me the captain and played there for many years at Step 4, which ultimately culminated in us finishing third, I think it was, which meant we got to the playoffs, which unfortunately we lost to Hamwell. And then after that, it was just sort of more of a, I've been there for 10 years, I've done my time, I had a wonderful time, it's a great club, great people, I still keep in contact with quite a few of the fans. It was just sort of, I needed a change, and Uxbridge had been after me that summer, so the manager, Danny Edwards, contacted me and arranged it all. I had a really nice time at Uxbridge. Again, a lot of my family's actually from that area, so they'd come down and watch, which was a really nice touch. The club's really going places in terms of it's got a lovely new 3G surface now. I think they're really looking, maybe not this season because results haven't quite gone their way, but definitely next season to push on, can get in the playoffs and go up the leagues. And it was a great club. But ultimately, the opportunity of Farnham came around at the back end of last season, and I think anyone that's interested or knows anything about non-league football had heard of Farnham in the summer, and what the club are doing in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the project, in terms of the player recruitment, and where they're looking to go to is something that's really exciting, not only for me but obviously for a lot of the other players as well. So that was a massive pull. Obviously I knew Jono and Jimmy and got on with them really well, and Daz, as many people will know, is my housemate, so all of those factors sort of pulled together and meant I joined Farnham in the summer. So, and yeah, here I am, and I think we're having quite a good season.
Yeah, well, could be better.
Yeah. Still should have been in the bars.
Oh, well, no, don't bring that up. Don't bring that up too soon. Yeah, so you've had quite a long... How old are you now?
27.
27. Quite a long career already.
Yeah.
Within non-league.
Yeah, it feels long.
Yeah.
It doesn't. I don't feel 27, I'll say that, and I don't feel like I've played non-league for that many years, but I have. When you reflect on it, I'm sure I'll look back and be like, bloody hell, that was a lot of games for someone only 27 years old.
You get the call up from was it Jono or Jimmy that gave you the call?
It was a bit of a dual attack from both of them. It was sort of a long, or should I say, sort of a long and slow build up, sort of to the back end of last season, and in the summer as well.
And had Daz signed before you, or no? Because Daz signed a little bit late. I called him Dad. That was weird.
He's like a dad to us all.
Yeah. Daddy Darryl.
Yeah, Daz had signed before me, which obviously influenced the decision as well. But obviously I knew how good Daz was, and obviously I'd been to watch the playoff final with Bracknell at the back end of last season, and the opportunity to play with Daz again. We used to play together at Bedfont, was one that was probably too good to turn down. There's everyone that supports Farnham and everyone watches the vlog has probably seen this season, some of the goals he scored, some of the skills, some of the passes. He's been excellent. So yeah, it's been a joy to watch and play with him this season.
The initial call up, so you get the call or you get the message, and that's kind of floating around in your head. What was like your initial reaction to, do I really want to join Farnham?
Yeah.
Like why Farnham? Why not stay on at Uxbridge or go somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Full of them today.
Should be a new job in front of the camera. I think Farnham, firstly the players they were bringing in. I think in the summer you were looking, and every day I was opening up Twitter to see a new signing, and I knew quite a lot of them already, having played with quite a few of them at Bedfont, and just general knowing about non-league, I knew some of the others. And they were really good players, and it was clear that they were going to build a really good team. I think the second thing was obviously the work that you guys do in the social media and building the club. I watched a lot of the non-league diaries last season, and I thought it was really well done, and it was really a good way to promote the club at this level. And then sort of the plans as well that Jono and Jimmy spoke about how they were going to build a new stand, about where they wanted to go in non-league football in terms of what league they wanted to get to, in terms of the food truck, in terms of all the amazing things that they now do from Harry's perspective, and obviously all of the other guys behind the scenes. So all of that was a massive pull. I also think it's a really nice ground. I think one of the big things is they get a lot of fans, and I brought friends down to the Memorial Ground this season. I've brought family down, and everyone's had a really, really nice time. I think there's a really nice feel to the club, whether that be the stuff they do, or whether that be the food truck, or whether that be the bar, or whether that be whatever entertainment they put on. It's been a really nice family atmosphere. So I think all of those factors played a big part.
Yeah, and it's weird how Farnham's kind of almost set off a bit of a trend. You know, you have the likes of, well, you got a lot of other clubs that are now signing loads of players, getting traction in, doing a lot of work off the pitch and on the pitch with players. You know, Croydon, for example, they've got, you know, all behind the scenes stuff now, a load of players. Which I think Bracknell. Oh no, that's
Walton have done really good stuff. There's a bunch of amateurs now about Rainers Park. Obviously Dorking have done amazing stuff with the social, promoting the club, and I think, to be honest, it's a real net positive for non-league football. I think the thing about non-league football is it's amazing as a family thing. It's amazing as an opportunity for the fans to connect with the players. You sometimes don't get that in the Premier League, or when you're going to watch the Championship or League One. You're very detached from it all. Whereas non-league's still very much a community thing, but also raising that awareness through the stuff you do, through the stuff Walton, Dorking, all those clubs that I mentioned have done, is amazing for non-league. And promoting, actually, it's a really good level, and that's another thing. I think people sometimes disparage the level and just say, oh, it's non-league, and they laugh at it, but the players in non-league are very, very good, and sometimes the people laughing at it, if they played against them, would realise. But these videos definitely showcase that as well. So I think definitely a net positive, all the stuff you're doing.
Yeah, I can't lie. When I first went to a Farnham game last season, I wasn't really too sure what to expect, because I mean, I wasn't like, you know, I'd watch football. I wasn't a massive football fan, because, you know, I never really went to live matches. I never really went to watch games unless it's like a special occasion or something. And I kind of thought, oh, it's just going to be like a Sunday league kind of thing. That's the general consensus.
No, that's the stereotype people have in their heads. And sometimes watching myself back, I think it's not wrong. But ultimately, I think it is wrong. And I think when people realise and people come down and watch, I think they appreciate it more and more, as you probably did when you came down last season.
It must be weird for you as a person that you go, I mean, some of the games at Farnham, we've had like 1,200 people there, I think, was the maximum this season. I might be wrong.
I think that was Cheshire, mate, you're right.
Yeah. But so about 1,200 people, and they're all cheering you on. Well, some of them aren't, but most of them are cheering you on, and, you know, shouting your name, and must make you feel a little bit like, oh wow, I'm a bit of a professional here. Look at me go.
It's amazing. I remember in the Chesham game, they were much better than us in the first half. And then for whatever reason, Owen Dean scored, and it felt like the crowd was sucking the ball in. Even at that level with 1,200, obviously because the way the ground's set up and the acoustics and whatever, it's really good for the players, and I think that definitely makes a difference. Obviously we've been very successful this season, but I think the crowd has played a massive part. And even the players that have potentially been at a higher level dropping down, I think seeing the crowds is a big thing for them. That opportunity to play in front of, we probably average 500 a game, and then to have those special games where you get over 1,000, I think that's a massive thing. And I think it's good for the community as well. You see a lot of people from the local Farnham area, and it's a really good way to showcase everything good about the local area and the local community.
Is it weird going into work on a Monday and you're just like, I just had a load of people shouting my name over the weekend and just while playing football?
I think because a lot of people from work are very into it now. Obviously, because the social media and because the website and everything's so good, people really intently follow it at work. So it's more so that not necessarily that great feeling, but it's also people are following it and asking. So you're walking into work and people are like, oh, that was a great tackle in the 10th minute, or that was a great goal, or how good was Lewis Flatman's chip from the half island? So it's quite nice to have all of that, and it's a really good bonding thing for everyone at work. And a lot of people from work actually come down, they bought the Farnham merchandise, and weirdly enough, this is a good story. So Harry Hugo messaged me and said, I've just seen someone with a Farnham hat in the pub in Crystal Palace. Do you know anything about this? So I just sent it in the work group chat, and weirdly enough, it was someone that I worked with. She'd bought the Farnham hat, came to the Farnham game, and has been wearing it ever since. So she's promoting the club in the middle of London, as well as the lovely Surrey area.
And I mean, it's a credit to Jim and Jono that to be able to turn up week in, week out, you've got the cup games and whatnot that, you have tasted defeat this season with the Vars coming to mind. It's...
Yeah, we've seen, I think in non-league football, you've seen countless examples of when teams have pumped loads of money into the club and to the players. It happens at every level, every league, every season. And there's just no guarantee of success. I think one amazing thing that Jono and Jimmy have done is not just brought in good players, they've brought in good people. The dressing room is fantastic, and obviously it's a bit of a cliche, but I think that does get you a lot of points in the season. I think everyone there sings off the same hymn sheet. We all get on really well as people. As Thomas Smith said, we probably all love each other. But yeah, it's true, and we go out, we have drinks together. There's a lot of socials, players text each other, but there's a really good spirit, and I think that helps massively, as well as recruiting the players, which we've done really well. But to be that consistent is very rare, and to not even draw a game is even more rare. So long may it continue, and look, even if we do now slip up a few times, touch wood we won't, but we can look back and think what an amazing achievement it really was. Breaking that record.
Like looking at last year in this league, you had players and teams that were very good, and now this year it seems like everyone's taking a step up, especially against us.
Of course they want to beat us, and I think if you look at last season, Brains Park and Bagshot, obviously they're very good teams, and they're even doing well in the league above. So it just goes to show. But yeah, everyone steps up their game against Farnham, and it's now becomes like a cup final. Even if, for example, a team draws against us, they're going to be celebrating like it's a win. And rightly so, in all honesty, and I think that's the way it should be, and I think that's the way it will be throughout the rest of the season.
Does that add a lot of pressure onto you guys for each game?
I don't think so. I think there was a little bit of pressure to break the record. I think there was that game when we played Epsom Ewell, and we started fantastically. That was probably one of the best we played all season. But then in the second half, we couldn't kill them off really to get that third and see the game off. And I think there was a little bit of that playing in the back of their minds.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that there has been this season. I think it's been a really just professional, get in, get out, get the job done from everyone. Again, going back to the point of building good players and good changing rooms, I think they've also got the age profile right of the players. They've blended well experience with youth, which has helped massively to make sure people aren't nervous and people just go out there and enjoy themselves. And I think we know if we play to the best of our ability, we will win the game. So there's always nice to have that. But the standards are kept very high, and that comes from obviously the captain, Ryan, and the vice-captain, Cooksley, and they keep those standards really high, and I think that helps massively with everything we're trying to do.
Yeah, and everyone has off days. I guess it's quite nice that you can rely on your teammates to help you pick it up.
And that's the thing, we have like 16 good players, or however many you can put in the squad. Everyone in our squad is good. If anyone comes in, they play really well. So it's lovely to think if you are having an off day, it's not just you're relying on 10 other players, you're also relying on the 5 on the bench, and you can rely on the 5 on the bench, which is a lovely feeling to have.
It's crazy that all of the bench, they would start in any other team.
Oh, of course they would, yeah. And it's not like the bench has changed. It's not like the same players are on the bench the whole season. It's changed based on form, which it should be.
I mean, look at Rowley.
Yeah. He's a prime example. He was sort of not playing for a while in the mid part of the season, and now he's come back and he's been excellent. I thought last week we played against Colliers Wood, and I thought first half he was one of our best players. I think a couple of the previous weeks he's scored goals. He's been really instrumental in everything we're doing. So yeah, that happens. I think Flatty's probably had a similar thing. I think Dean's probably had a similar thing. Shams, maybe more recently, he's had a similar thing. So it comes and it goes because we have so many good players and they're all looking to stake a claim. I think that's just the nature of the beast, really. So it is lovely to have that. And I think sometimes you get disgruntlement on the bench, and I think that's natural and I think it should happen. But I think people have been really good on the bench and they've been really looking to make an impact when they've come off. I think it's testament to how many goals we've scored late on, to how well the bench has responded to being on the bench. So that's been fantastic as well.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's human. Everyone, you're there to play a game of football, and if you get put on the bench for 60 minutes, then, you're not going to be happy about it.
I'll be the exact same, and I am the exact same when I'm on the bench. So.
And let's talk about position.
Yeah.
You are the multi-tool of Farnham.
Yeah.
You can play anywhere from the season, but you scored from every position other than centre-back?
Other than centre-back, yeah. I think my defence, I only played 2 games at centre-back.
Well, you had your opportunity.
I did, yeah. Do you know what? I actually should have scored, or I went for a goal and missed. But yeah, I've played right back, left back, centre back, centre mid, attacking midfield. I've played against Norton away. And like I said at the start, I only not played up front or in goal. So yeah, look, I do it for the team. I think every team has a few players like myself that is adept in filling in multiple positions, and I think it's really useful to have that as a manager. I think a big shout out to Max Meaton. He also does similar and could do similar if asked. I think he's excellent at being the utility man as well. He won't probably like me saying that, but he's had a fantastic season.
He's yet to score though.
He is.
I chose the wrong player as a sponsor.
He is yet to score, but yeah, he's been fantastic this season, and I think Jono having those type of players, I think, has been really helpful for him. So, yeah, I think originally I signed as a centre mid, but I don't know what my position is anymore. So.
Yeah, I always get confused on what to title you.
Yeah, just utility. Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, so something that I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit. So there's a lot of stuff of, Farnham just pumping money into players and all of that. How much do you get paid? I'm joking, you don't. That was just for the trailer. I was
going to avoid that question.
No. But
too much.
That was just so I can stick it on. That'll get loads of clicks.
That's outrageous.
But it is weird. It's not just Farnham that's paying money. Even just at a normal Step 5 level football, people can see this as a little second income.
Of course they can, yeah. If you think about it, you looked last week. Croydon in our league signed a player from League One.
Great.
To think he won't be on a certain amount of money would be a bit naive. And that's not to say Farnham don't pay well, but yeah, it's a really good thing for people to have a little bit of a second income. I've always said that I would do football for free, and for many years when I was growing up I did. And to be honest, I still would. I still would play for free because I love playing and it's a great release and all the other benefits around football.
We won't tell Harry that.
But to get paid for doing something you love is an amazing thing. So long may it continue. And I also think on the money thing, I think you have to spend money to win the league potentially, or to get out of the league. Because other clubs, if you're not, will do it. Other clubs do it. And as I said, there's been loads of clubs this season, I can know names club, other seasons that have spent money and it's not gone the way they wanted it to go. So it's not just a simple formula of spend money, win the league, spend money, win the bars, etc. It's more about building the club, building the culture, getting the right people in. And the club's done well in building the infrastructure as well. So it makes it a really attractive place to want to come and play. That's what I'll say on the money. If Harry's listening, I'll take an extra 50 quid next season for that answer.
They need to get you guys media trained up. And actually, speaking of media, it's crazy that now we've had the ITV, had the BBC thing they came out on Friday, and then we're on the Sky top picks. I don't know if you've seen that.
Sky Q, yeah.
Sky, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
That is for a...
Well, Harry Cooksley's on all of those
Well,
things.
I don't know, how has he managed that?
He's good in front of the camera, in fairness to him.
I like his camera voice when it goes...
Yeah, it's quite posh, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very posh. And then you interview him when I interview him for the non-league diaries, it's like, "You're right, mate."
Hello, mate. Yeah, if you look back, if you go on YouTube and type in Harry Cooksley, there's a clip from about 2016 where he's gone to America and recorded some content. And it's brilliant. Yeah, give that a watch.
That's going in. I'll ask him about that today.
Yeah, please do.
I've got a question.
Go for it.
I will have to repeat your question because you don't have a mic. Great.
Just like as we're on a match day, do you have any like pre-match kind of situations, like rituals?
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, that was a good question.
Pre-match rituals.
So, get up in the morning on a day of a match, and the first thing I always do is have a shower. And then I get a coffee, and then what I like to do in the morning of the game is to watch some form of football. So it used to be Soccer AM or Football Focus, but those things are either Football Focus is a bit late now, and Soccer AM is no longer a thing. So what I'll do is I'll probably watch some highlights from some midweek game, or just put some football on because it sort of gets me in the routine of football. I think those are the main ones. I used to be really strict on what I ate. I used to be a strict chicken pasta man every single Saturday at a certain time, but as I've got older I've realised I don't think it matters as much, and it's more of a psychological thing. So I've sort of reverted to meal deals, which probably isn't scientifically great, but I don't think it has a dramatic impact on my performance. So I think those are the rituals. I do also, when I get to the ground, I like to get a coffee.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. So those are the sort of rituals I have. A bit boring, a bit James Milner-esque rituals, but...
And when you start playing as well, what is your mentality there? Like when you walk out the tunnel, are you thinking anything? Do you do any research on the other team, or do you just get there, turn up, do your job, and off you go?
I think it all depends on, it's all different for every type of player. I love non-league football, so I've researched the other team loads, looked at all the other teams' performances, looked at everything they've done. And I think when you've done that over a certain period of time, you sort of know all the players and stuff like that. So for me, I like doing that, but some players hate it. They just like to turn up on the day and just go out there and kick a football. What I like to do when I'm walking out in the tunnel is I'm thinking the first thing I do in the game, I like it to be positive, whether that be I get the ball past my teammate, whether that be the clip in behind, goes over the fullback's head, whether that be the first tackle, I get there in time. So I like just knowing and getting that first thing done. After that's done, I'm easing myself into the game and I'm confident and it's fine. It's in my head, in the tunnel, I'm thinking just do that first thing right, do that first thing right. And then also just enjoy it. We sometimes walk out and your head's down and you don't look around, or sometimes especially at Farnham when there's lots of fans, it's nice just to look around and enjoy it and say, well, this is nice, they've all come to watch us play today. So I think those are the things that I'm mainly thinking in the warm-up in the tunnel, just before we go out.
Yeah, that's actually quite a good point. You know, I guess it's nice to take in the moment, especially when you have X amount of people there. It must be a great feeling.
Yeah, sure. And yeah, just looking round, it looks busy. Giving the clock enders the claps, really nice before the game. Appreciating everything they do and the money and time they spend watching. And yeah, and the way they interact on social media is great. So everything the fans do is really good. The fans are lovely. And I really like that aspect of non-league, having a chat with them, speaking to them about the game, what they thought. Because when you're playing, you get a completely different perspective as to when you're watching. When you're watching, someone might say, Joe, you were terrible today. But in the playing, sometimes I'm like, oh, I thought I had a good game, man. I think my parents come every week, so they're sort of my biggest critics. So if I play badly, they'll be the first to know, or they're honest in terms of if I played well, they'll tell me I played well. So I always sort of trust their opinion over anyone else's, which is quite nice.
And I guess it's hard as well because, I mean, when you're 70, 80 minutes into running around and kicking a football, your mind isn't as sharp.
No, of course.
I mean, I get that 20 minutes into playing on a five-a-side, and like, you know, you will make mistakes. And I guess it's just having that mental to
I think
come back from that.
Perspective, it's as you get older, you realise your body, you realise when you start to flag in games, you realise the moment you start to flag and the triggers. And I think that's all about playing the game in a more sustainable and safe manner. So whether that be you don't try the risky pass, you don't make that overlapping run, you sit in and you just clip the ball in behind to the striker, whoever it is. I think you learn that as you get a bit older. Because as I was younger, I just ran around like a bit of a headless chicken for 9 minutes, and as I said, I probably made countless mistakes in the last 10, 15 because I was just tired and mentally wasn't recognising that was the trigger and that was what was actually happening.
And you've played under Jono for
Many moons.
many years, I guess. What is he like as a manager?
As a person or a manager?
Well, let's go as a person and a manager. Let's try and get the...
We'll go with the manager first. Jono, the best thing I can say about Jono commands respect from everyone, which is an amazing trait to have as a manager. So he's very well liked, he's very well respected amongst the players. He's very clear in what he wants to do as well. So this season, it's no secret that Farnham played a 4-2-2-2, which is a bit of a novel formation in non-league. If you think about traditional non-league teams, it's either the 4-4-2 or the 4-3-3. Jono wanted to sort of reinvent the wheel and get the sort of number 10s, as they were, more into the game for us, particularly with Daz and Rawley and Flatin, the talented players that we have in there. So it's quite a unique formation, but it's worked really well for us this season. And it's really hard to pick up, especially as we have a lot of the ball. So again, massive credit to him with that. I think he makes it very relaxed as well, especially him and Jimmy. They're very good together in that sense. So when you're playing on a Saturday, you don't feel the pressure. As we spoke about earlier, I think that comes obviously from some of the players, but also from themselves. They make it a very nice, relaxed place to play.
Yeah. I've noticed that Jono's more of a, he'll say it how it is, but Jimmy will be a little bit more like encouraging.
And I think you need that balance definitely between the two. And obviously he's been very successful in the game. He got Spell from promoted from step 6, winning countless trophies. He got Bedford promoted from step 5 and then got into Splash from step 4. He's obviously done really well at Farnham so far, so he's been a really successful manager, and he's been really good to me throughout all the years. As a person, me and Jono get on really well. He's done a lot for me off the field, and yeah, he's just been a really good guy. I think it's testament that I've stayed with him so long, and I think there's been a few players that have done the same. Daryl, Mike Kinsella, Shams has been with Jono for a long time now, Flatty, Charlie Poston. So yeah, I think it's a really good sign that a lot of these players still want to play for him after all this time. So that's sort of testament to his character and what he's doing at the moment at Farnham.
Yeah. By the way, this rain does not look good for the.
I know, we're going to get there and I'm going to turn
match.
around.
Yeah. Be an extra long episode. This.
Do
you have it? Yeah.
Yeah, go on, ask
I feel it's gone out of the blue, but
Yeah, go for it.
honestly, so you know how you said you're a very utility player.
Yeah.
You mentioned James Milner as well, obviously you didn't mention players that are similar vibes. Is there a player that you kind of like model your play on or take?
Good question. I think when I was younger, I used to model myself massively off Vieira and Gerrard. Those were like my two heroes when I was growing up. I used to play centre mid. I used to love when Vieira had like the Vic on his chest. So I used to always do that. And then every pair of Predators that Gerrard would buy, I'd buy. So if you look at pictures when I was growing up, there would just be with massive Vic on my chest and Predators. I'll never forget the day actually. I got Vieira on the back of my Arsenal shirt. And about a week later he joined Juventus, and that was one of the heartbreaking moments as a kid. More recently, yeah, I don't think I model myself off players as much anymore, because I think I've got to that age where I sort of know my own game, know what I'm good at, know what I'm not so good at, and sort of try to maximise those strengths. In terms of comparing myself to players, yeah, I think many people have said James Milner, but John O'Shea's been touted around. Jimmy Hibbert will hate this, but one of the fans said Berbatov on Twitter, so I've been dining out on that since he tweeted. I don't really see it as per se, but it's quite nice to get that. So yeah, I'd say those sort of players I used to model myself on, and I'd say those players I'd say now I'd compare myself with.
Yeah. And
Yeah, not bad at all.
and so because you've been around for so long in non-league.
I mean, I make it sound so old.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you say that, but I mean, what you started when you were.
Yeah, young. Yeah.
Yeah, very young.
16, yeah.
So, I mean, I take it you know a lot of the players within the league. Well, maybe.
Yeah, a lot in the league, a lot in the league, like most of probably up until step 3. I know quite a lot of players, especially the local teams.
Yeah. Does it feel like some matches you kind of just having a little kickabout with friends, or a competitive kickabout with friends?
So we haven't played with yet, but one of my really good friends, Andy O'Brien, plays for Tooting and Mitcham. And another guy I went to uni with, Shay Brennan, he plays up front for Tooting and Mitcham. He's actually top scorer in the league. So when we play them, I think it'll be quite a bit of needle, but Andy's very old school in the sense he won't speak to me before the game. So we'll be in the tunnel and it'll be a bit of a Gary Neville, Phil Neville, just won't even look at you, which I think makes it even better. So I'm going to be winding him up the whole Friday. Saturday morning I'm going to be texting him, and even in the tunnel I'm going to slap his arse or do something like that just to wind him up. But that'll be interesting. Yeah, I think you play most teams and you'll know at least 2 or 3 players. And so it's always nice to catch up with them afterwards, or in the game, just have a little joke or a comment, or if they do something wrong, just have a bit of a laugh at their expense, or them having a laugh at my expense. So that's quite nice about non-league, and it's nice to see them sometimes after you've not seen them for a while, because sometimes in football you sort of don't see people that you have played with as much as you'd like to, and so it's nice to catch up when you do play them.
Being a manager, obviously I know that you're not, but like if you were to put yourself in a manager's shoe, and you have a player that you really like, you really get on with, but they're just not quite fitting right in the squad.
Yeah.
And you have to let them go.
Yeah.
I feel like that must be quite hard. It must be hard as a player having one of your friends.
Oh, horrible.
And then they're like, I wish I could do something about it, but it's just not working, and we need to try and get someone else in.
Yeah, that happens all the time. I think ultimately you've just got to be honest with them and say, look, we love you. If we can accommodate you in some other way, for example, if they're a bit older, it might be accommodating them and saying, look, become a player coach or help us out, do a bit of the training or do whatnot. But if they're a bit younger and you're their friends, I think it's more about trying to push them to a club they're going to play, to push them to a club they're going to enjoy.
I guess with Mike Kinsella, where we put him on loan to somewhere. I don't know really.
He went on loan to Ashford, yeah.
And then obviously now he's injured, but
Yeah.
He wasn't getting minutes. So instead of just saying sorry, bye.
Yeah. So and then that's how it should be in football. Obviously, Mike's a really good player. He's coming back from a long-term ACL injury, and now, unfortunately, he's done his meniscus as well. So this season for him, a lot of it was about just sort of getting that first season after the ACL under the belt. But he had a really good season, played some really important games for us, kept a lot of clean sheets. But then, obviously went on loan to Ashford, and it's good, we encourage people. And I think the same sort of happened with Matty. Sam and Jono helped him out getting the next club, and I think that always goes a long way, and you never know when that favour might be repaid, whether that be if someone in non-league was scouted by Farnham and they said to Matty, is he going to be good, bad, what's it like down at Farnham? He's more likely to recommend them if Jono's helped him out getting a new club. So I think it's always comes full circle, and you should never burn any bridges in non-league, and you should always leave on the right terms when you're going to leave.
The last non-league Diaries episode was all about the physios. Unfortunately, they didn't have much to do in that game. It was only that one little knock from Tom. But Nath mentioned that you like to get rubs, you like to be loose. Does that help you get prepared for a game?
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't like to do it all the time, but if I'm feeling a certain tightness, I think more so it's been more recently because we've been playing Saturday, Tuesday, so it's sort of been tough to get that full recovery in throughout the week. So sometimes it'll come to the Saturday and I'll still be feeling tight in certain areas, so Nave's always on hand to give a massage, and he does a really good job of it, and that's been really helpful. Massive shout out to Gibbo and Nate, to be fair. I think they sort of were spoken about last week quite extensively on the podcast, Non-League Diaries. But it was really good that they got that recognition because they've done an amazing job, and the stuff they do behind the scenes is paramount to us doing well this season. So, definitely keep employing them and keep doing what they're doing as well.
Yeah, and how hard is it to recover, I guess, when you're working throughout the week and you've got games, and because it takes up a lot of time. You've got, I guess in Farnham's case, it's either 2 games a week or 1 game in training. Obviously, you're putting in, you're taking away your Saturdays and your Tuesday evenings, probably going to bed quite late on Tuesday and having to wake up early for Wednesday work, feeling tight and,
Yeah, it's really tough. I think because I've done it for so long now, I'm sort of conditioned to it, and I think if I didn't have it, I'd find it quite weird. But on the flip side, it is, as you get older, it becomes harder and harder to sort of recover. So it's that delicate balance between doing too much in the week other than football. So you want to have a life outside of football, but after a Tuesday game, if someone's saying let's do something on Wednesday, you're obviously a little bit more cautious about accepting. Maybe you do something a little bit more low-key, like the cinema or something like that, or you just have a more relaxed night in and watch Champions League or something like that. So it is hard, but I wouldn't trade it for the world, really.
And do you reckon you'd always be in non-league? Do you reckon, when it comes to the time to retire, hang up your boots, do you reckon you'd go into management or coaching or something?
Yeah, I've been asked this a lot, actually.
Because you strike me as someone who'd be a good manager. You have that manager feel.
Don't know if that's a good or bad thing. I don't, at this very moment in time, I would say no. I don't really have ambitions to be a manager. Even though a lot of people probably have remarked, like you have, that I might be quite good at it. But it doesn't interest me at the moment. But I think, again, that's because I'm still playing, and I'd like to think I've still got maybe another 6-7 years in me of playing. So I think it all might change over time, and if towards the end of my career, maybe in my 30s, I'm thinking about it, it might be something I do as like a player manager, or I start coaching with a team as well as playing for them. So yeah, I think it'll be something I explore maybe later on. But at this moment in time, I don't have too much interest in.
Yeah. Do you reckon Jim or Jono could be a player manager?
Jono was a
still
player
got it.
manager.
Oh, was he? Well,
so
at Bedfont or?
at Spelfont and then at Bedfont, he was a player manager.
Right.
Yeah. He
It
was
must be
good.
so weird as a manager because like, the team's losing. Let me just come on and sort this out real quick.
No, but he would start a lot of the games. So Jono is a very, very good player, and he would start a lot of the games. The only issue is when you're sort of thinking of it from a manager-player perspective. If it's, as I said earlier, it's hard to see when you're on the pitch what you see when you're off the pitch. So you have to have a very good assistant coach, I think. There's Dean
There's
Rule,
Dean
the man of the moment.
Maybe Thomas Smith in there.
His ears must be burning from us talking about him.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of airtime, isn't he?
He's good, Dean Rule. He's like quite funny with it, just quite a dry, funny sense of humour.
Yeah. Yeah, we are now at the ground, so.
Thanks for the lift. I really appreciate it. And the
No
sweets.
worries. Thank you for coming on. Yeah, thank you for being the first person on whatever we decide to call this thing, whether it's a podcast or its own little thing. It might just be like a little 5-minute segment.
Yeah. No worries, I actually quite enjoyed it and I got a free lift, so I can't mind saying much, can I?